Believe it or not, and I can't hardly believe it, I've been managing people for nearly 20 years now, 18 actually. And it's interesting because I think about kind of my growth in becoming a manager and a leader. And the very first management opportunity I had was in college. I was working retail. I applied for the assistant management position. And I quickly learned that dynamics change when you move from a peer to a manager. So I had built relationships with my team, but the dynamics changed when I became the manager. So that was a big learning experience for me. And it really helped me in my next management position when I was a complete stranger. I inherited my team. And so I was coming from the outside and into the organization. And I had to learn to become a manager by building confidence in the team and building relationships and trust. And then some years later, I sort of had this hybrid experience. I was working for a company and I became a department manager. And when I was doing that, I inherited 3 other employees within the team from different departments. And then I ended up hiring 12 more over the next 2 to 3 years. And so that was a huge learning curve for me because we had different disciplines. There was a 50-year plus age gap across the team. We had team leads and different supervisory levels, and we had inherited some and hired some and at different stages. So that was a huge learning experience for me. And then I had a couple more hybrid experiences until I became an entrepreneur a few years ago. And of course that was wildly different because we've homegrown our team. It's all been grassroots, where as we've picked up clients and projects and we needed more skills beyond my abilities, we've been able to find and hire, recruit exceptionally talented people and build our team, naturally over time. And even this year, we've hired a couple more people. And so even though all these different experiences are really different from one another, we all had to go through that team development process. And this is a concept that's been around at least since the 1950s. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. I know pretty much all of you have gone through it, where you start off forming a team and everyone's sort of strangers and they're polite and they're nice and kind of stiff and unsure of who's doing what. And then you get into a storming period where maybe some rules have changed or management and dynamics have changed. And so you sort of navigate through that storming period. And then you know that you've normalized as a team when your team members stop seeking input from outside of the team and they start looking inward. And they collaborate more, they've built trust, they've built relationships, and they start to seek advice and input from one another. And then eventually you get to your performing and then optimizing stage, where everyone really understands what their role and responsibilities are and what everyone else's roles and responsibilities are. And they have that trust and that foundation because they've gone through this whole cycle to get here. And so they sort of work as a machine or like one little unit. Even though they're a bunch of individuals, they can kind of work together and collaborate and optimize their team's performance. And we're going through this now. I mean, we've hired a couple people and we're going through sort of this forming and storming period. And, that's to be expected. And that's really the point, is that, it's normal to go through this process. It's expected. In fact, it's necessary to get to that point where you're performing and then optimizing. And it can just be the slightest change. We have a couple new team members coming into the mix, and some of their skills we have already on the team and some of them are new. So we're gonna have to sort that out. And we continue to have an age variance on the team, and that can have an effect in dynamics. And even if you promote someone within the team, you've been working together for a long time, but one promotion or one change, or if you work for an organization and someone now works at a different location or a different department, that can change dynamics, and you find yourself back in that forming and storming process. Sometimes it takes days to get through, or weeks, months, or longer. Just kind of depends on the situation. Just know that it's normal, expected, and in fact necessary to go through. So for those of you who are watching this and you have 20 plus years of experience, I'd love to learn from you, as I continue to go through this and will continue as our business grows and evolves. So any words of wisdom or advice, I'd love to hear them. I'm always seeking input from others, especially when it relates to management and leadership. So I welcome your comments below. And then for those of you who are need a refresher, or maybe you're hearing about it for the first time on that team development process, I'll provide you with more information in a link down below. Thanks, y'all.